the flavors that's coming out of the pan with all the vegetables in here simmering. I'm going to turn around this way a little bit. So we simmer those up a little bit. Let them simmer up real nice.
It smells so good in here already. I can't wait.
Simmer that up real nice. And we're going to start the process with the asparagus as well. So all we have to worry about in the end is the chicken. Actually, we'll wait for the asparagus. I'm going to sit this over here because that cooks fast. So we'll sit that over here. So like I said, as far as the onions and peppers, you know, it doesn't take long because at the end of the day, they're going to cook more once you add all the meat and the sausage. It's going to cook more when we add all the other ingredients as well. So right now I'm going to cut up some of this andouille sausage. Andouille sausage is the best. It's the New Orleans andouille sausage. If you ever go to New Orleans or anywhere down there in the bayou, this is the type of stuff they use for dirty rice, gumbo, etc. So, you know, if you don't eat pork, I think they have variations of turkey or chicken. In this case, we're using the regular pork andouille sausage. Again, I'm cutting the sausage big, but it all depends on your preference. You can slice them smaller than that. You can cut them in half. You can cut them in fours. Whatever you want, however hardy you want the dish, that's how you cut up your sausage. Again, it's a personal preference. I like my sausage big. I like to see everything in the food. So you see my food, everything is like bam. So we're gonna cut the sausage up real nice.
And for those of you who are on a plant-based or vegetarian diet, they even make vegan andouille sausage.
Yes, they do.
And they add lots of spice to it, which helps considerably. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So we're gonna cut the sausage up in nice slices. I would say your average slice would be like that, very small. I mean, and again, it all depends on your personal preference. The thicker the sausage is, the longer it's going to take to cook. So I usually slice mine very thin. It's still going to have the same flavor. And also, the thinner you slice it, the more you stretch your dish out. So ideally, as I said, I slice my sausage really thin. So we're going to finish slicing that up real quick.
So there's a whole ring of sausage going in here.
Whole ring of sausage. More the merrier, more the merrier. So slice the sausage up. Next, I'm going to, once I slice this sausage up, and I always slice the sausage up first. So once I get the other two meats in there, and they cook up a little bit with the onions and green peppers, we can throw the sausage in last because that takes the least time to cook. So right now, I'm going to throw in ground beef. Again, your ground beef, I use 85% lean. Again, that's your personal preference. You can use the 90, whatever your personal preference is. I always prefer the 85. So we're going to throw that in there.
And how much is that?
This is 85%.
No, I mean, how much meat, a pound or?
This is a pound and a half.
Okay, pound and a half.
Pound and a half. The smallest pack they got in there. So we're using a pound and a half of ground beef for this particular recipe. And again, you don't have to use that much. Like I'm using a whole ring of sausage. I'm using a pound and a half of ground beef. You don't have to use that. You can use half the sausage, half the pound of ground beef, half the pack of sausage. It's based on how much you want to cook for your family and how many people you got, or if you want leftovers. So I'm going to throw the ground beef in the pan. So throw the ground beef in the pan, crush it up a little bit when you throw it in there. We're still going to beat everything up once we get it in there. Put it in there real nice. We're going to take the sausage, Jimmy Dean sage. I love Jimmy Dean sausage. But again, you don't have to use the Jimmy Dean sage. You don't have to use sage sausage. You could use traditional sausage, plain sausage, and just spice it up with your seasonings that I'm going to show you once I get all the meat cooked up in the mixture I have here. You always want to touch it up a little bit. Throw it in there.
This man has serious kitchen hands. He is in there in that hot frying pan with his bare hands, getting all up in there.
This is not for everyone. I don't advise this.
Don't try this at home.
This is something I do all the time, so it's a lot easier for me.
He is a pro. Wow.
Okay. So We're gonna take this and you're gonna just stir everything around. Mix everything in, stir everything around, and you're gonna let all the sausages and everything brown. Okay, so get everything nice and brown. Takes a few minutes. Doesn't take long because these are ground up meat, so they cook really fast. So we're gonna, and while you're cooking it, you wanna make sure that you mix everything in, mix all the peppers in with the meat. Mix all the peppers in with the meat real nice. And still brown everything up while you're doing so.
I wish that we had smell-o-vision for our computers and our TVs so that you all could just be in here and smell how good it smells, because it was good already with the onions and the peppers, but now we've got the sausage and the ground beef and it's all cooking. Oh, it's magnificent.
This is a lovely dish. I mean, like I said, if you have different preferences as far as not eating meat or fish, or you can even do it, like I said, with shrimp or scallop. I mean, it's all about the seasonings, the onions, the peppers, the sage that I'm going to put in here, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. There's several ingredients that go into this that enhances the flavor and makes it dirty, right?
Dirty.
So we're going to just let this cook up a little bit.
You know, it's almost like fried rice because you're going to use cooked rice.
You're going to use cooked rice. You're going to use cooked rice. And again, once we get to that, I pre-cooked my rice, but you know, you can use brown rice. I mean, you can use yellow rice. It's all your personal preference. As far as the rice, it's 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. So every 1 cup of rice, you use 2 cups of water. So if you use 2 cups of rice, it's 4 cups of water. Okay? You took the water, the rice, you mix your rice and your water, bring it to a boil. So I add a little drop of olive oil in it. Once it comes to a boil, we cover the rice and we simmer it on very low heat. Okay? And for all of those that have trouble cooking rice, which I know a lot of people that have trouble cooking rice, there's always minute rice. So you can use minute rice. Me personally, I use regular rice and go through the work of cooking it. It's just more of a personal touch for me. And that's more or less what my style of cooking is. We do a lot of personal touch, a lot of fresh vegetables. You know, we don't cut corners on things. It takes a little longer, but the food tastes a lot better when you add all of those personal touches and take all of those extra steps. And that's one of the mottos of our company. We take extra steps. What's on our plate is what's on your plate. So whatever you get from Savory Selections, it's what the same stuff that we put on our plate at home. It's the same time and energy and soul that goes into everything that we eat. You're going to get the same product, whether it's for 5 people or 500 people. It's always going to be the same. It's always going to have the same flavor. It's always going to have the same time and heart and soul and effort put into every dish we make. So this is coming along really well right now, getting nice and brown. So we're going to start to add some of the seasonings in here.
What do we got?
I'm going to get to there in 2 seconds here. I just need, you got a paper towel somewhere?
I do, lots.
Okay, so as I stated, we are,
Here you go, sir.
thank you. We are mixing everything around, chopping up some of the extra big chunks of meat and sausage we have in here. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's getting very brown. So what we're going to do next is start to add our seasoning. Okay, so some of the seasonings we use, we're going to use a little crushed red pepper.
Ooh, spicy.
Little crushed red pepper, just a little bit. And again, I'm not being specific on what amounts we should use. A recipe like this, as long as you have the ingredients, you can always find the recipe online. For me, I use, since I've been doing it so much, I just add and taste and add and taste. It just always makes it better. Because sometimes you get exact recipes and it doesn't come out the way you want to because it's not an exact science. So that's why, like I said, when I learned in the kitchen, watching my grandmothers and my mother, they never looked at a recipe. They always said, you put a little of this, a little of this, and a little of that, and bam, there you got it. So we just put a little crushed pepper. You don't want to put too much because everybody doesn't like spicy food like that. So you just want to put a little bit, just enough to give it a little flavor. Stir that around again. Now we're going to add paprika, ground paprika. That's one of the major ingredients for this dish. Ground paprika, that's gonna give it a nice color. Just get enough to make it give it a nice color. Gonna add the paprika. We're gonna use a little of this ground thyme.
Oh, yum.
And again, you could use fresh thyme as well, but just to save time, we're gonna use the ground thyme. And of course, the sage. And I didn't open everything up, which I should have done earlier, but only
Now-
takes a second.
This is interesting to me because when I think sage, I think poultry.
No, the sage is one of the main ingredients of the dirty rice.
My eyes are being opened.
Okay, so you put the sage in there again. You start off with a little bit. And again, you're gonna season this to taste. So we're gonna put a little bit in there as a base. A little bit as a base. We're going to ground cayenne pepper, a little of that as well. Put that in that, a little bit of that also. Hot sauce. I always use Frank's. You ever seen that commercial? I put that on everything. So we're gonna put a little Frank's in there. Put a little Frank's in there, just a couple of dabs of Frank's. Because again, you don't want to make it too spicy. Do a couple of dabs of Frank's.
I just cannot imagine how much flavor is going to be packed into one spoonful of this rice.
Now, there's another secret ingredient.
Oh, yes, this is what I didn't recognize. This is what I wanted to hear about.
For all of you folks that don't know, this seasoning comes from years and years and years of cooking experience from some of the elder stateswomen in our families. I used to call it the little yellow box. It's called Bell's All Natural Seasoning. This, all you need is a dab of this in this particular dish, but on Thanksgiving or whenever you cook your turkeys, you add a little Bell's to your turkey, and it makes the flavor just jump out at you. Trust me. You can't go wrong. Bell's All Natural, little yellow box. You can find it in any ingredient section in any of your supermarkets. So we're gonna pop this open, and again, you don't need much because it's very strong. So we're gonna pop this open real quick. If I can get the box open. If I can get the box open, Suzanne?
You got it, you got it. You're almost there. Here, let me get it. I got smaller fingers.
Yeah, you might be able to get it
Let's
back.
pop that open. You keep
'Cause
talking about
I do have fat fingers. Hold on, I need a can opener.
I do.
So we're gonna mix this around a little bit, keep
This
mixing
is the
it.
hardest job I've had all night, is opening this darn box. It's,
It's all over, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's all
already
over.
glued. Okay, woo. All right, there you go. I'm sorry, I mangled it. You'll have to put.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
I'm gonna put this little yellow box right there, and I'm
We
gonna
keep
get
it in the bag anyway once we open it. Okay, so we got this stuff cooking up. We have the seasoning. We're gonna add a sprinkle of the bells. Sprinkle it just a little bit of the bells. We added the hot sauce. We added the cayenne pepper. We added the red pepper. We put the hot sauce. Now we're going to add the sausage. And now that once it gets brown, we add the andouille sausage into the mixture we have here.
Oh my goodness, I know I keep saying this, but if you could smell the way it smells in here, it doesn't smell like a church anymore. It smells like a restaurant in New Orleans or something. It's fantastic.
So we add the sausage in. And again, break all the sausage apart. I did a bad job of cutting today because I'm trying to stay within our time limit we have here. But we add all the sausage in, and again, you just mix everything around. Mix everything around, got a nice mixture. And again, part of the coloring of the rice has to do with the paprika. So right now, it's still a little brown, so that means you need some more paprika. So we're gonna add a little bit more paprika to the mixer. A little bit more paprika because you want it to ultimately have a reddish color to the rice. So we're gonna add a little bit more paprika, stir it around a little bit. Put the rest of these sausages in here, bam, bam, boom. Stir it around a little bit more. And again, if you're here, as he stated, you can smell the flavors starting to fill the room up. So we're gonna stir everything around a little bit more. Once we get everything stirred up, and these andouille sausages, they don't take long to cook. So we got the mixture in here, and now we're going to add another ingredient just to cap it off, and after that we'll let it simmer. So today we're adding chicken broth. So you can either buy your chicken broth and add the chicken broth into the mixture. Now a lot of times I don't use chicken broth. I use bouillon cubes, either from Nora or Ox, and I heat up some water, and I use the bouillon cubes with the water to add it into the mixture. This is a faster way of doing it, but this is a more personalized touch to me, and I always use the bouillon cube and water. And you can just put the bouillon cube in a bowl of water and heat it up in your microwave, and just pour it into the mixture. And again, you want it to have a little gravy when you do everything, so it simmers and everything cooks together real nice and all the flavors mix in. So we're gonna do that, and you know that you have enough juice in here. If you can see it simmering, you can see it bubbling. You can see it bubbling. So if you see it bubbling, that means you have enough substance in here as far as the liquids are concerned. Okay? I'm gonna add a little bit more because we do have a lot of stuff going on here in this pot. We're gonna add a little bit more. Stir that around a little bit. Stir that around a little bit. You can see all the peppers and onions in here. Cooking up real nice. And a little bit more paprika. And then we're gonna let this simmer for a few. And I'm gonna have Susanna taste it and let me know whether or not we need to add a little spice to it, a little hot sauce. I am going to add a little bit more sage to it because that's part of the main ingredient. And again, most of these dishes, I gave you the blueprint as far as what the ingredients are. Most of these dishes, they are to your taste. So, I mean, some people like the flavor more robust. Some people like it less robust. So, again, it's all according to your palate of how much of this stuff you want to put in there. Some people like their stuff on fire. So, you would just turn this upside down. Keep going. Or the hot sauce. Either or, it's going to give you the spice you need, or the cayenne. But we put so many different spices in here, you don't really need too much. I mean, it's more or less about the flavor at the end of the day. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to let this simmer. Let this simmer. Move that over a little bit. We're going to reduce the heat a little bit, let it cook a little bit, and we're going to jump on to the next thing. Okay, we'll save the asparagus for last. So I'm going to move this over here. Okay. Move this over here for a minute. Sit that right here, and we're going to start with the fried chicken. Now, the fried chicken, again, all the flavor will get around. And again, it takes a little bit longer, but it goes, because then I know the seasoning. Even when I make a big pan of chicken, full pan, small pan, I do all of this stuff. And, you know, some people say, oh, why are you doing that? It takes so much time. But it tastes so much better because you're taking so much more time and you're putting more of a personal variation for the chicken. I should have, which I'll do right now, I have to preheat your grease. Now, this is another thing. You just put another, I want extra deep fried, crispy chicken coating. It washes off some of your ingredients. So for me, some of the ingredients we use, black pepper, and we have our flour seasoned with just some garlic powder and just a sprinkle of the seasoned salt. Because like I said, you don't want to get it over seasoned. And if you do it the way I'm doing it and you rub the chicken around, you just want to make sure that when you see the chicken, that the seasonings go all around the chicken. And as you can see the seasonings all around the chicken. And that, like I said, I do that because it makes everything seasoned more evenly. Okay? So once we do that, and it gets under the skin too, so flavors under the skin. Okay, so once we do that, you just drop the chicken in the flour, like so, like so, like so, like so. Again, I use a big 8-gallon bag You can use a Tupperware bowl. You can use
Brown paper
a
bag.
brown paper bag. And I was just about to get to that because growing up, when we were kids, the brown paper bag was what's happening. And that's what they used to use, the brown paper bag. So we're gonna take that. And again, you make sure you have a big enough, whatever you're gonna use, to where you can close it up a little bit and shake it up, because you wanna make sure that all of your chicken is coated with flour. And we're gonna let that sit until our grease gets hot. Now, the grease, usually about 375, if you have a temperature gauge that you can use for your chicken grease, usually about 375. A lot of times people now have those plug-in fryers that they use to where you can just set the temperature and it'll let you know when the grease is ready, and you can just drop your chicken right in the grease, which I use that a lot of times at home because it's a lot faster. Instead of waiting, you got to drop a little flour in the grease to make sure it's hot enough. And then because for anyone that cooks fried chicken, if you don't let the grease get hot enough and you put the chicken in the grease and you got to wait for the grease to get hot while the chicken's in there, you're going to bite into a mouthful of grease if you do it that way. So it's always good if you have one of those fryers to use that. Or, I've heard horror stories about people's chicken. They're putting the chicken in the grease too early, and at the end, they bite into the chicken and grease squirts out everywhere, and you don't want that. So we're gonna wait for the grease to get a little hot. I'm gonna wash my hands off real quick.
While he's doing that, I will tell all of you that back in my early 20s, I thought that I would make some fried chicken and that I could. I don't know if I'm a good cook now, but I used to be a real bad one, if you can believe that. And I decided I was going to make fried chicken at home, just like my mom did, which she only did once a year because she hated it so much. So that would have told me something, you think. So I melted down some Crisco and I did the chicken, but I made about 3 inches worth of batter on the outside of every piece because I was dipping it in egg and then in the flour, and then because I thought I wanted a whole lot of batter on the outside of this chicken, right? Right. So I heated up my oil and it was smoking like you would not believe. It looked like the teacher's lounge in an old school high school. It was going to town. And I thought, well, it must be ready. And I dropped it in, and I don't know how it's possible to have something burned and undercooked at the same time, but that is what happened to every piece of chicken I had. The outside was as black as tar, and the inside was nice. It's not really sizzling, it's just kind of little teeny bubbles spreading out a little bit.
So we're gonna let that get a little hot. I'm going to also start the process for the asparagus. Asparagus, like I said, you can cook it in the oven. A lot of people like their vegetables roasted. It's the same procedure, whether, for me, when I cook my asparagus, if you roast them or if you cook it on the stove. So usually I use nonstick foil, line a pan, put my asparagus on there and drizzle it with a little olive oil and a sprinkle of sea salt on the asparagus. Once I put it in there and throw it in the oven and let it broil. And again, once you see the green color get into the asparagus, you know it's done. Again, that's your personal preference.
If you had a unanimous decision,
So it's basically your personal preference on how much you want your asparagus to be done. Some people like it a nice snap to it. Some people like it soft. Some people like it well done. Again, it's your personal preference. Let me stir this around a little bit while we're talking about that. Again, it's your personal preference on how you want it. Just to jump back to this, it has a nice red color now. So we're just going to keep letting it simmer to make sure those andouille sausages are done. And we're going to have Susanna taste it in just a few seconds to let me know whether or not we need to add a little bit more zing and ping to it. And we're going to jump back over here. I feel the heat coming off my chicken grease here, so I'm going to throw another little. See that? You heard it?
Yep.
So once you hear the sizzle, that means you can start to drop your chicken in. Okay? You don't want to cook it too fast because, again, you'll get an outside burnt coating of chicken and the inside will still have red. So, again, you want the grease to still be hot enough, but you don't want it to burn the outside and you bite into your chicken and there's still blood coming out.
I wish
That's not-
somebody had told me that
That's not a good
20-something
situation.
years ago.
So we're going to ultimately add the chicken into the pan, piece by piece. And again, it's coated, make sure it's well coated, and you can shake it off a little bit. You hear that?
Oh, there it goes. Beautiful bubbles.
There it goes.
I have not had fried chicken in the longest. It was worth it. It's all gonna be worth it just for this one moment, I'm telling you.
You drop that in there, see now it's a little bit
Now it's really
high,
going.
so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, and it's not gonna hurt it to turn it down because the grease is already hot. So we turn it down a little bit just to make sure it doesn't burn. The outside and the inside is not done. Gonna add these pieces in here. I'm hoping I can fit everything in here at once, which I'm probably not gonna be able to do, but that's okay.
With his bare hands, ladies and gentlemen, right into that boiling oil. I'm telling you, he is a pro. I knew that,
The
but now I
pro's
really
gotten
know.
burned a lot too. The pro's gotten burned a lot.
What
trust
kind
me.
of chef would you be if you didn't have burn marks all over your hand?
Well, that's what I tell my wife all the time, but she's like, oh no, I can't go with that one, so. Oh, okay, we got one more piece left.
It looks beautiful already.
Let's see.
What are you gonna drain that on? Do you need?
I'm gonna set it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna set it up instead. I'm just trying to make room for this one last piece.
And I'll get your tongs over here so you can.
One last, just want to take one last piece. It's a big one, so.
Is this one of your most popular items?
Fried chicken?
Yeah.
Oh my God, everybody loves fried chicken. Everybody loves fried chicken. And you know, it's one of the more popular items, but it's one of the most pain in the neck things to cook.
That's what I've always heard.
Because if you don't use a deep fryer, and like I said, a lot of times, in the locations we're at, there's a deep fryer, a commercial deep fryer, so all you gotta do is drop the chicken in the deep fryer, it's a lot easier. Cooking it on the stove is a lot more of a process nowadays, so a lot of times, using the plug-in fryers and any type of deep fryer that you have, ideally is a better situation than using a stove. I mean, I would recommend it, especially for the folks that don't cook fried chicken, and even so now, they have the air fryers. I was with my grandmother today, and she cooked some fried chicken in the air fryer.
Wow.
Because, you know, they told her to lay off the oil and stuff like that. So she cooked it in the air fryer, and it actually came out very good. It was very crispy and juicy. So I actually just purchased an air fryer, and we're going to experiment with that as well. Okay, so we're heating up. Oh, I didn't heat it. Okay, so while we're doing this, while this is heating, while the asparagus pan is heating, if you want to come sample the
I do.
dirty rice, that would be great.
There's a spoon for you.
And let me have one of those.
So this is just the seasoning mixture, and then the rice gets
The
mixed.
rice gets mixed into the rice. I'm gonna stir that around
Now,
a little
earlier
bit.
today, you were talking about some of the ways that you like to match the food that you cook to the event that you're having. And one of the things you mentioned is a sweet 16 party. So what's a sample menu that you would suggest for a teenager's party? Because I was curious about that.
So,
I'm gonna step back here so I can taste this.
so for example, we get different requests for different types of parties, okay? And a lot of these parties nowadays, they have themes. They have different types of themes, different type of decorations. So a lot of times we try to help our clients come up with ingredients that would match their particular theme and use decorations also. So for one of this particular Sweet 16 party, they wanted a Southern Soul menu. So they ended up having baked turkey wings, macaroni and cheese, green beans, dirty rice, deviled eggs, macaroni salad cups, banana pudding cups. So we gave them those options based on what they came to us and said, look, this is what we're looking for. We did a wedding for a young lady in Scotch Plains. Her name is Amy Hoffman. She's a very, very good client of ours. She came to us and said she wanted to have a rustic theme for her wedding. So with that being said, we came up with a menu for her. We had ribs, barbecue chicken, the dirty rice, macaroni and cheese, um, green beans, apple baked beans, um, pulled pork sliders, potato salad, and we set a lot of her appetizers up on wooden pallets around her venue. And we had servers bring around the sliders and things like that. But we tried to give every event that we cater a more personalized experience. So we do offer that type of service. A lot of times people don't want that type of service, but it is something that we offer. So if ever you do call us and you would like to use our services, that is something that we do offer. We don't just say, what do you want? We'll cook it for you, we'll set it up, and we'll leave. We try to make it a culinary experience for you for whatever event that you try to have. So just keep that in mind if you are looking to have an event, that we try to go the extra 9 to make sure that your food coincides with what type of aura you want to have for your whole experience for that particular event that you're having. So that's an added service that we provide. I'm going to turn this
Now, I
back
have
up.
to say, I really like the mixture for the dirty rice, and I will tell you, it wasn't just one flavor that I got there, because a lot of sage from the sausage, but then when that was hitting you, you got the cayenne kind of coming in from the side, and then you get the hot sauce kind of coming down through the middle, and then the sausage kind of giving it this richness with a little bit more extra spice on there. I'm telling you, that makes me want to do a dance. And underneath it all, you got the onions and the bell peppers. That is,
So it's good.
it's good.
Okay, come on.
I could have just said that. But you really get all of these different flavors in there, all in different layers, hitting you from all sides. That's really, it's such a simple thing, but it's not.
It's not. It's very intricate because, again, it's a dance, a mixture and dance of all different types of flavors, bringing you to one big point at the end. So
That's exactly right.
again, it's a simple dish. I mean, we're doing a whole menu full of stuff right now, but this is something that you could just have a bowl of with rice and just be satisfied with a big bowl of dirty rice, dirty rice. Dirty rice. So we're gonna let that sit there for a minute and focus on this chicken. Now the asparagus, I'm gonna drop it in here, and I'm gonna grab a little kosher sea salt, and that's all you really need. I mean, if you don't use salt, you can use any type of powder, whether it be garlic powder or onion powder. It's basically your preference. I mean, any type of seasoning you want is, again, your preference. I like a little kosher salt just sprinkled on the asparagus once I throw it in the pan. So we're gonna throw some of this asparagus in the pan. Again, we preheated a little olive oil. We're gonna throw it in the pan with the asparagus. And throw it in the pan with the asparagus. And again, the chicken is cooking nice, real nice. See if I can put a little bit more in there. But I'll turn it off. Turn it off, okay. But it's still cooking because it was super hot. And again, the fried chicken, you let it cook until it gets brown on one side. So I always let my chicken cook until it gets nice and golden brown on one side before I flip it over. I mean, I've seen folks flip and flip and flip and flip, and you really don't have to do that. Just let it cook on one side till it gets nice and golden brown. Once it gets there, then you flip it. Okay? So we're going to let our asparagus simmer. Gonna leave those right there. We're gonna take a little bit of kosher, I always use kosher salt. So sprinkle of that. Again, you don't want to add too much because a lot of people don't like a lot of salt, but you do want to have a little flavor in your vegetables. At least I do. Okay. So now we're going to add the rice while we're letting those things cook. Now the rice. Again, after we've cooked our rice, and you have your mixture, again, this is basically your personal preference on how much you want to saturate your mixture with rice, okay? Some people like it ricey, some people like it meaty. Me, either way is fine. So we're gonna just, and again, I wouldn't just dump the rice into the pan. I would spoon it little by little, so you know where you can stop. Because if I dump this whole pan of rice into this pot, it might be too much rice and you might not like it. So just a suggestion, when you add your rice, just to add it little by little. Uh-oh. Add it little by little. Yeah, that means it's cooking real nice. And also, I didn't bring it today for the fried chicken, but in the stores, they have the screens.
Oh.
They have a handle that you can sit on top of the fried chicken so the grease doesn't pop up and pop you in the arm like it just did me. So if you're gonna fry on the stove, that would be a great purchase for you to buy a screen to fry sit over your fried chicken so the grease doesn't pop up over everywhere. So I'll put a little rice in here. We're going to mix what rice we already have in here. Again, you just mix it in real nice.
That rice is getting dirty.
Dirty. So we're gonna mix this in, and again, this is not enough rice, obviously, because it's still more meat than rice, but.
I know a lot of people who would go for that.
Oh yeah, I would go for it. I like the hearty rice, so, you know, for me.
I bet this is good the next day too.
Oh my God, the next day is even better.
Yeah.
The next day is even better because everything sits and settles and soaks into the rice and all the flavors even pop out even more. So right now, actually this is not too bad. Because again, you want it, I'll put it to you this way. If you're having other things with your meal, then you want to stretch it out a little bit and you want to add more rice. If you're just going to have this, then what I have right here is more or less a meal. Because you got a little rice, and then you got a little sausage, and you got a little beef, and you got a little other sausage as well, pork sausage. So this is like a little meal. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to it, just because I got a lot of rice over here. And I'm going to take a quick break.
And if you're feeding a lot of people in your house, or if you want a lot of leftovers, you can always stretch it out.
And flip the chicken over a little bit. It's nice and golden brown on one side already. And again, that's where we want it. Nice and golden brown on one side.
That is the real deal.
Nice and golden brown on one side. Flip it over. See how nice and brown that is? And again, it's always good to let your chicken get brown on one side. And flip it over so you don't have to constantly keep flipping. Constantly keep flipping it. I could have used a smaller tongs, but.
Wow.
So we're going to do that there. And we're going to move the asparagus around a little bit to make sure it cooks evenly.
You should see the color on this asparagus. It's getting real bright, beautiful green.
So what we're going to do is line your pan with paper towels. So when your chicken comes out, you can stick the chicken on the towel and it can soak up any of the excess grease that you have already. The asparagus will be fine because we did not use an abundant amount of grease in the pan. You just want to, this stuff before it's simmering. So we're going to just simmer this for a couple more seconds. I, of course, am going to try one. Oh, yeah, thank you.
And in case anybody's ever wondering, I saw this in an etiquette
Oh,
book
wonderful.
years and years and years ago. It is
Wonderful.
actually proper form to eat asparagus with your fingers. Just in case anyone was wondering, if you're in a fancy restaurant or a nice dinner and you're trying to get the asparagus to cut with your fork, which is hard to do, it is perfectly acceptable to eat it with your fingers. So now you have license to eat with your hands in a fancy restaurant. You're welcome.
See, I don't like my asparagus too done. I still like it to have a little pop to it. So I'm gonna take it out. It's nice and green. The color will get a nice green, golden green.
Thank you.
You can try that.
I'm done. Hold on. Oh, I'm dancing. It's so good. It's still got really good texture, but it's not like fibrous and crunchy.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So we're gonna throw the last couple of pieces in here.
Woo. Hot.
Put those up real quick. A little bit of that. We're going to add maybe one more spoonful of rice. And the dirty rice.
Can I try a spoonful?
Oh, cool.
I'll come get some.
Definitely. This is your kitchen. You gotta have
Not
some.
tonight. It's your kitchen tonight. This is not my kitchen tonight.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Beautiful. So, we're not gonna add any more rice. Because I think that's good enough. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. I think it's just amazing. And the rice adds just a little bit of earthiness to the whole flavor. It's wonderful. And it's spicy. I even think it's spicy enough almost.
Wonderful. Excellent. Good. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, let me simmer for just a few more seconds. I don't want to overcook the chicken. We're going to take the chicken out, at least the smaller pieces. I overcook the chicken. Don't tell anybody.
It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I did. It's okay.
When it comes to chicken, undercooking it is way worse.
Right. No, you're right. But we're good. Everything's good. Chicken's good. Nice and crispy.
Let's bring that up to the camera so they can see how beautiful that is.
Woo, a little hot.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, this chicken's outside.
Look at this chicken. I'm telling you. It looks like something out of a magazine. It is beautiful. The skin is all fluffy.
Okay. That's that. We'll just wait for that last piece. We have a nice.
Somebody spare this pan off.
Yeah, I think we're just about done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we are all set. I'm gonna turn off everything.
You just turned it on, sorry.
Turn it on? Oh,
There you go.
okay.
Asparagus can.
And that's on, asparagus pan off. Move that off the heat. Turn that one off too. Now, do you have a cloth? So I can, we wipe up afterwards.
Yeah, we'll get it out. Don't worry
Okay,
about
so
that.
everything is done. You have your dirty rice, you have your fried chicken, and you have your PNC asparagus. So, which one would you like?
I'd like a wing, please.
Like wing. We'll give you a wing.
Thank you,
Do you
sir.
want everything else too, or you just gonna eat that
Let me
right
eat
now?
this one,
Okay.
and then I will definitely come back for more of the asparagus and rice. Don't you worry about that.
Well, I got a couple of plates still. You can pack up a plate and, take it home and really sit down and enjoy it.
I'm just gonna tell my husband there weren't any leftovers, because I don't think I want to give him any of them.
So we're gonna just have a quick.
Oh,
Right.
my. And this batter is very light, okay?
Like I said,
Oh, my.
good.
Oh, my. I have not had fried chicken in so long, I'm gonna cry.
So again, if you want to keep it light, I would say don't use the egg or the buttermilk. But if you want the fluffy, crispy chicken like you get at Popeyes and you use buttermilk batter, and you can do it that way. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't really need it because as you can see, the chicken is crispy. It still be crispy even if you don't use the egg or the flour or the butter. I mean, you have to use the flour or the buttermilk mixture. It will still come out crispy.
Damn.
So again, it's your personal preference.
It's juicy, but it's not greasy.
Right.
And it's cooked all the way down. This is really some of the best chicken I've ever had.
So at the end of the day, it's basically your personal preference. But I will say to everyone, cooking is an art. Okay, so when you do cook, you make sure you cook the way it makes you feel comfortable and relaxed, and always cook in a relaxed environment. Any rush dish, a lot of times it doesn't turn out right. So when you really want to cook something and try something new, make sure you really have time to put the effort that you want to cook into it. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be very successful in what you experience and try to cook. Okay? So at the end of the day, that's all I have for you tonight. It's been a pleasure being here, cooking with you, for you, and with Susanna. I'm looking forward to doing more things with All Saints and the Community Wellness Kitchen. And if you need anything as far as any events, or our company does individual pans of food. If you want a pan of fried chicken, if you want a pan of ziti, if you want a pan of dirty rice, a pan of macaroni and cheese, collard greens, all of that stuff is on our menu. We just don't do big events. So you can call me and say, oh man, I got an event. I need a pan of collard greens. Could you get it to me? Yes, we can. Okay, so just give us a call whenever you like. If you ever need any advice or anything on cooking as well, I'm always available. All our information is on our websites. Give me a call. I'm here. I'm a local. Thank you very much for the opportunity, folks. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and you all have a good evening.
We did.
Thank you very much.
That was really something. I want to point out also, this man cooks every single week for our veterans groups.
That's right. I forgot to mention. That's right.
Gives his time.
We do meals for the veterans based on donations from our community. So we provide the number of meals that we can provide based on what you guys give us. So we've been lucky enough to provide 20 to 30 meals with desserts and sides for our veterans at least once or twice a month. So for all of you that are interested in donating, please check out our Facebook page. Our Venmo and our Cash Apps are on there. You can make a donation to us. If you want to donate something else or meat or whatever you want to donate, we can take care of it and cook it for the veterans and add that in addition to the meals we provide. Again, all of our information is on our Facebook page, Savory Selections Catering LLC, on our Instagram, Savory Selections Catering LLC NJ, and on our website, selectionsavory.com. Again, if you guys ever need anything or need advice or whatever it may be, please give us a call. I'm always available. Thank you very much for your time.
This was the first time it is not gonna be the last. Felton, thank you so much. This
You're
is a
very
meal.
welcome. Thank
This is a
you.
meal for a huge group of people, and it tastes like he cooked it for family, and that's how he does business. And
Food for the
that's one
soul.
of the reasons why we love him. So thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm gonna help him take care of all these leftovers, and I'll see you all next week. Next week will be just me. Oh, so sad. But I'm gonna be going to our farmer's market this Saturday and getting all of this great fresh produce, because it opens up this Saturday at the municipal parking lot from 8 to 1. So be there, and I will tell you what to buy if you want to cook with me a week from tonight on Tuesday night. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll see you all soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Beautiful.